the Marion County Board of Education meeting to order. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, remain standing for a moment of private prayer. I'd like to call on Mr. Jordan Harrigan to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and when we're through, I ask him about what he's up to this summer and what his plans are.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Mr. Harrigan, you got the floor.
Hello, my name is Jordan Harrigan. I guess this is going to be my second year as a student ambassador, and I'm also the proud owner of two businesses here locally. I'll be a senior at Marion County High School this year. I have been chosen to be one of the chairs of this year's program as a student ambassador, which we are so graciously thankful for the Board of Education and Ms. Osher supporting us, because this program has given us many opportunities to be leaders in our school as well as our district. I have actually been working a lot this summer. I don't really get a summer break, as you say. But, I think the farther you get into school, the less you get of that. But I have two businesses going, J&J Inks, which we print shirts, and we're actually printing the staff shirts for this year for all of the employees in the district. So we're really thankful to be doing that and have that opportunity, as well as many other opportunities within the district. Just about every school we're doing their staff shirts as well. So that's a blessing to us. I plan to, after high school, I plan to go to Kansas University and finish my college. I have actually worked on that for the past year, and I will be finishing on that this my senior year. So I'm doing a couple classes to finish up my credits at high school, and then I'll be working on college. So thank you.
Thank you. The next item up is going to be, we've added a few things to the agenda, so motion is in order to amend the agenda, which is item number 3.
I move that we approve the amended agenda as shown in attachment number 1.
Motion by Mr. Butch Cecil,
Second.
Secretary Evans. All those in favor say aye about the amended agenda. Aye. Motion passes. Next item up is Communication Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item I want to talk about is our leadership, and just to remind folks of our book studies that we're working on this year, and that is the Leader's Guide to 21st Century Learning and Turning High Poverty Schools into High Performing. I also like to welcome our new staff, if they are present. Ms. Akers, is Mr. Reed here tonight? He is not. He is going to be serving as our assistant principal at Glasscock Elementary. And next, I would like to introduce Mr. Tom Brown. Mr. Brown, if you stand up. Mr. Brown is going to be serving as our interim principal at Marion County High School. He comes with a lot of experience. I think he told us today 40 years of educational experience and several years at the high school level. I'd like to welcome him. Just to remind folks that Ms. Curtis will be serving as our interim assistant principal at Marion County High School. I'd like to introduce Ms. Amy Willis. She's here with us tonight. She will be serving as our director for early childhood, addressing those two of our 6 big dreams. And Ms. Shelley Badgett, she's not with us tonight. I think you all have been introduced to her before, but we do have a new director of special education. And last, in a new role, Mr. Mike Apel. He will be serving as our HR director. Very pleased today. We kicked off our leadership meeting with our leadership. We called it 102. Last year we had 101. So we had our 102 session today. Farmers National Bank, I'd like to publicly say thank you to them for allowing us to use their annex. It was a great day. We had our administrators and our leadership team. We talked about growth mindset, a focus on leadership. We also had our board attorney that came in and provided a legal update to everyone. It It was a great time for fellowship and learning, and we are working on that today and tomorrow. Tomorrow, our principals will all report on their 30, 60, 90-day programs. And if folks are not familiar with that, we focus on what we want to accomplish the first 30 days of school, then the next 60, and the last 90. And we do that because we want to intentionally plan what we want to accomplish, just like a teacher in the classroom, what is it that they want their kids to know and be able to do. So we will present those and share those, and I think it's great that we have a great leadership team that collaborates and works together. And again, that goes along with our presentation of goals. Our second area of focus is teaching and learning. And as you all know, we're about 2 weeks into school starting, so we have multiple professional developments going along across the district. Very excited about that. I hope people have had an opportunity to see and or participate in our Summer Dream Academy. We've had a lot of opportunities for all kinds of students to participate in that extended learning. And for those of you that have little ones, or maybe your kids have actually volunteered or you volunteered, I think you would agree that we're making a lot of progress on that. I think Mr. Farmer would say that we're going to continue that. And I heard Mr. Farmer tell us today that we've done a great job this summer, but what we want to do next year is we want to make sure that for some students, school doesn't end at 3 o'clock. And that we want to extend that learning, and we want to offer that third meal for our students. So that's what he's very passionate about. He's already talked to our principals about that, so we're going to start working on that. Our Briskies, I think it's important for us to also thank you. If you don't know who these folks are, they're the folks that are actually thankfully provided to us through a grant, through a state grant. It's our Family Youth Service Center programs. We have some great folks in place. They support our summer programs, and they do a lot of things for our kids throughout the school year, and they are part of making sure that kids transition into school from summer back into that school year, and also provide additional activities after school. We were the Dream Bus program. I mean, I hope that you've seen the Dream Bus in town. If you've been in town during the day, we leave Lebanon Elementary about 10:30. We get back to Lebanon Elementary around 2:30. We're doing 2 stops a day, and the kids that see the Dream Bus go by, they're obviously very happy, and they smile big. And again, we've had a certified teacher on the bus. Mr. Farmer plans to have more data, and we'll have a presentation for you. But very pleased with that program as well. We did participate in the Kentucky Department of Education's Next Generation. We were selected. We were one of 18, I think, districts that were selected to be a part of that. We brought a core group of folks, and we're focusing, making sure that we narrow our focus. There is some grant money that's also tied to that, and we attended 2 days of that in Louisville. Just as a reminder, the accountability for 2016-17 is just around the corner, but we will be receiving our scores from the Department of Education here in September. Just want to remind you a little bit, accountability, if you've been around the school business long, there's always going to be some sort of accountability. Those scores will be coming in. And just be a reminder of what Ms. Newcomb talked to you about in May, and that is, as accountability changes, the rules change as well. So that 3-point line that we have out there, basically KDE's kind of stepped that back, but I have no doubt that we're going to do a great job, and we're going to talk some about our accountability scores as well. Very pleased to announce that Ms. Newcomb was selected to serve on a committee with Dr. Steve Pruitt, and she's actually going to be help guiding some of the pieces and parts of what the new accountability system looks like based on the new federal mandate of what accountability looks like. So she attended that today in E-Town, and we're very pleased that Marion County has a representative to talk about what opportunities that our children should have to make sure that they continue to grow. We'll talk about our ACT scores a little bit, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now that our 11th grade ACT scores are the highest they've ever been. And I think that deserves a round of applause. Several years ago, with Senate Bill 1, the state of Kentucky decided that all 11th grade students would have an opportunity to take the ACT. And that's something in years past that only the students that was at the college-bound level nor traditionally took that test. And now all of our 11th grade students are taking that, and we're actually above the state average and the highest it's ever been. And so very pleased with that. And not that the high school doesn't want to celebrate that, but that didn't start at the high school. That started the day they went to school, and in some cases, we've got a whole lot of parents that are helping us from the time they're born until the time they go to school, and I see people shaking their heads because it is a community effort to have those kinds of scores like that, but that's definitely something to celebrate. With high expectations, one of the things I always talk about is the professional growth and effectiveness system. That is our means of evaluating staff. It's our means of evaluating principals, and it's your means of evaluating me as the superintendent. And we're in the process of calibrating. The state actually mandates PGES. I think you all have heard me say that. That's not something Marion County Board of Education decided to do. That's something the state of Kentucky decided to do based on the waiver with No Child Left Behind. It is an extensive process. Just to be calibrated costs money, and just to go through the training does as well. The state does not reimburse that. That's another example of an unfunded mandate. And under high expectations as well, that's when we talk about our 6 big dreams, and I'm going to say this again. Accountability is always going to be here. The state and or the federal government is always going to tell us about some kind of accountability. But with our 6 big dreams, that's an opportunity to address the needs of our children regardless of the accountability system. So our first big dream, obviously, is Ready, Set, Grow, Learning Begins at Birth. That's all about our book initiative, encouraging parents to read to their children 20 minutes a day. Ms. Willis has already had an opportunity to meet with the hospital, and I know that Ms. Spalding, before she left, took 30 more books out to the high school and giving the books out to babies. Very pleased about that. Ms. Spalding, Ms. Newcomb, and I presented on Tuesday at the Governor's Conference on Early Childhood, and we shared what we're doing with our book initiative and the fact that we have universal preschool. We had a great attendance, and no one got up and walked out in the middle, so we felt like we kept their attention. If you've ever been to a conference before, sometimes people get up and leave, so we were really pleased. And the nice part about that is we did have an advocate from a publishing company who saw the work that we were doing, and also our Dream Bus, and they'd like to come to Marion County and do an article about the work that we're doing. So we're very pleased about getting that out, because there may be other communities that look at some of the ideals we're doing, and maybe they'll have those same opportunities. Universal preschool, we will continue with our 7 preschool classrooms. So we're going to be able to offer the tuition spots for our children. We brought all those folks back, and we're glad to be able to do that. We're reviewing our numbers every day. Mr. Farmer and the elementary school principals are working on the Jump Start program. And for those of you who have little ones and they're heading into kindergarten, you know that that's a big transition. And I see Mr. Farmer shaking his head, and we are offering an opportunity to give those kindergarten kiddos an opportunity to get ready. And we think that'll be a great opportunity. That means they'll be in their school, they'll get acclimated, you know, and you have to think, just going through the cafeteria line for some kids is a big deal. I mean, we take those kinds of things for granted. You know, kids have been home all summer, maybe with their parents or their grandparents, you know, just being satisfied and getting them excited about school, and, you know, maybe get rid of some of those butterflies. So very pleased that we have that opportunity. Our one-to-one technology initiative, Mr. Brown has assured me that this is going to be a successful transition at Marion County High School. Mr. Lyons and his staff has worked extremely hard to make sure that those have been unboxed, coded, put into our system at registration. The parents will fill out the piece of paper, and they're going to agree that they're going to use these the right way, and we're going to do our digital driver's license, and they're going to learn about the appropriate way to use a device. We've had lots of work with our high school staff, and again, we believe that this one-to-one initiative, it's not going to replace the teacher, but it's definitely going to help our kids get prepared for that 21st century learning that we were talking about. Because like it or not, technology's here. If you go into a factory today does not look like a factory did 30 years ago. You have robots stacking items on top of each other. You do not have people stacking boxes on top of one another. So it's our job to prepare our kids for that. We were selected again from KDE to be a part of the non-traditional school day. So if we do have bad weather of any kind, we do have an opportunity to look at a different type of school day. And we were also selected to present at that on Frankfurt to talk about the things that worked well for us. So that's another opportunity on July the 29th. Our Market Connect and Communicate. Our green buses are visiting neighborhoods, so we're going to parents' homes. We're not asking them to come to our homes. I think that's another great way of communicating about our 6 big dreams. Our summer feeding schedule and our summer feeding program. I know you all heard me say probably maybe more times than you want. Last summer we fed 14,000 people, okay? This year at the end of June, we've already fed 9,382 people, and we're not finished. We still have the month of June. What I'd like for you to look at is Ms. Marion provided a summer feeding report, and as you can see in regards to the Dream Bus, so far this year, ending the month of June, we fed 458 children. And without that bus, that would have been 458 children that would have not had a meal at this time. And so we're very pleased with the progress we're making. We've had a very positive working environment. I know Mr. Evans has taken advantage of that, and he anticipated 30. He hoped for 50. He had 80 children show up with the program that he was working on. So again, another opportunity. This is something that we have elected to participate in, and we're very passionate about that. Very pleased with the work that that's happening with that summer feeding program.
Excuse me.
Yes.
That does come from federal funds.
Yes, yes, and actually that is at no cost to us. We are reimbursed for every meal that we serve. It's something that the USDA offers. Not every community participates in that, or the school system does. It's just something that Ms. Farrell and I started years ago, and it just keeps growing, right? And it just continues to grow, and no, it's not of any cost to us. So, you know, 2 for the price of 1. And we are hosting our chamber luncheon on August the 25th. Again, we want to show off all the things like Mr. Hergen just said to us. We've got a lot of great kids in our school system, and we want to take the opportunity to show the folks in our community all the great things that are going on in Marion County High School. So, Mr. Brown, you're on notice. We'll be in your building. August the 25th. United Way kickoff in Lebanon. I am serving as the chairperson, and United Way does a lot of good things for the community. It is a tri-county area. They provide books. A lot of even other agencies are used with the United Way. Our next generation Marion County, our leader in me, if you've heard of Stephen Covey and his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he's written a book, 7 Habits of Highly Happy Kids. And obviously happy kids learning those habits early on. We're excited about that, and Calvary, Glasscock, and I think Lebanon Elementary is working on that as well, so I apologize, Ms. Royce, for not having that on there. We do have robots that have arrived at Marion County High School /ATC, and we also have those that have arrived at Glasscock Elementary. Like I said, at the Spring Summit, if you'll remember, we had folks that told us that they want our kids to know what's going on in business and industry, and technology's going faster than we can keep up with. And the robots that we work on today may not be the robots that they would see 10 years from now in business and industry, but you got to start someplace. And we're excited about the fact that our kids would have that opportunity. We will have more about this at our next board meeting, but I don't think I can go without talking about the great things that went on with our beta. They attended the National Beta Convention in New Orleans, and we had so many positives that come out of that. And that doesn't just accidentally happen. There's a whole lot of work with a whole lot of people that's gone into that. Calvary Elementary was 2nd in the nation. I want you to think about that, 2nd in the nation. we've got some smart kids and we've got some great staff and some good families to make some of those things like that happen. We have the national secretary for junior beta, and we have the national sponsor at Marion County High School, Miss Jamie Brown. And we're going to bring those kids and those teachers in, and we're going to recognize them. But that's something the entire community should be proud of. That doesn't just accidentally happen overnight. When you're competing we're competing nationwide, and that's who our kids are going to compete against in this 21st century. The world's flat, the internet's made it that way, and our kids are going to be able to compete. And that's what we want to keep trying to do, is making sure that they have those opportunities. So, I think we should give our beta folks a big round of applause. Our last big dream is all students graduate college and career ready, and we talked about a Jump Start program for kindergarten kids. Let's talk about our kids that are going to Marion County High School. There's a lot of kids that are in the 8th grade that have some butterflies just like our kindergarten students do, and we're going to have a Jump Start program for those kids to hopefully help with that transition and just that college and career. The data from the Dream Bus, obviously the work that our kids did on that, we have data to support that that's working well. Under communication, John Sparrow's here tonight with our special programs, and I received an email that Marion County adult education and GEDs were #1 in the state. And that's we're working with our Rotary with a new teacher breakfast. We were also selected by Ed Leader 21, which is a national conference. They want Marion County Public Schools to present this fall. And then next fall, we've already been asked to present in Atlanta, and they want us to bring the Dream Bus as a part of their conference, and they're going to have space for us. So very pleased that we're going to be able to share those things at a national level. Like I said, we've got a magazine that wants to come in. We were fortunate enough to be given a $40,000 grant for WHAS. And remind me, Mr. Spalding, we are going to use that for a bus for transportation purposes, for a special needs bus. It won't pay for the entire bus, but it's definitely going to help a big chunk about that. Also a reminder that all of our elementary school students will be receiving free lunch. Again, that will not be of any cost to us, and that will definitely be a savings to our parents. Our first official day of school is, for staff, is August the 1st. The first day for our students is August the 3rd. If you look at calendar days, you're looking at 18 calendar days. And what we're going to talk about this year is you're going to hear me talk about that we're going to dream big, but we're going to focus small, because it's all in the details. And our details are the students. That's why we do what we do every day. And our work can make all the difference, not just that child's life, but their children's life someday. So very excited about the start of the school year. I guess you can tell that. I probably said excited more than what you all wanted to hear, but we have 174 days to make dreams come true for our children. And we're all going to intentionally make sure that that happens for our kids, and just appreciate everyone's support in making those kinds of things happen. So, any questions? Because I'll be glad to talk some more, Mr. Evans.
I believe, did I hear last year, the ACT scores from last year, weren't they at that point the highest we've had in history in Marion County High School?
Last year, I can look, it depends. No, they weren't, but I think the year before they were, but this year it is. So, this is for our 11th grade students, so.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions, but I do have a couple of comments. Yours truly has traveled extensively over the years. And someone told me 10 years ago I'd be in Marion County, I would say, you're crazy. But I'll tell you what, someone directed my footsteps here to Marion County about 10 years ago. And about 3 years ago, they were able to become a part of the school board. And I'll tell you, I am so proud to be a part of this organization that is doing so much, not only for our youth, but for our community in general. There's no place else I'd rather be right now than in Marion County to be a part of a winning team. And I just commend the superintendent and all of you that had a part in getting us where we are now, and are not resting on your laurels to say, hey, we're going further and further. And it's obvious you're committed to do that with the limited resources that you have in many cases. You excel. So I want to give each of you a hand and tell you I'm proud to be here in Marion County.
I would like to kind of follow up on Mr. Evans because I can relate to you so much that sitting in Detroit or Memphis, and somebody would say, well, you're going to be in Marion County. I would say, like, no, that's probably never going to happen. So I am so thankful, too, to be part of this and the results and the attention to detail. I mean, that's what it's all about, is y'all doing a great job on the details of getting us to where we're at right now and even further along. So thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Any other comments? If not, moving right along, the next item up is item B, introduction and presentation of Marion County Public School special programs, and that would be
Mr. Troy Benfield.
Troy Benfield.
Well, I just get to say hello because the superstars are sitting in the back of the room. So we're glad you're still leaving the Community Learning Center on your Board of Education calendar for the year. We're always excited that you get a chance to come down here and visit and say hello. And I know the folks that work out of this building are excited to have you here, acknowledge the work they do. I'm proud of them, and I think a lot of the success our district enjoys is because of the services that they provide and the services that you allow them to provide. We're very fortunate to have a whole lot of different personnel in our district to serve the unique and individual needs of kids. And we are very fortunate to have them. Every program in this building is doing so well right now. We have state recognized programs. We have a migrant program that is now nationally recognized, and I can't say enough nice things about that. We got a call today from a region that we do not even associate ourselves with that had some resources to give away, so much so that they were looking for other venues to disseminate those things, and they said, well, Marion County Public Schools has a lot going on. Let's call them up and see if they'd like some free things. So Elma will, I'm sure, get her U-Haul like she always does, and she'll go down and cart it all back up here for our kids because that's the kind of people they are. So they want to each get up. They'll give you just a little report and say hello and share the great things that are going on in this building. And we'll start with the always lovable and lovely Nancy Shaughnessy.